ko aloha no ai ai kalani aoko oia I o he molele hoi he molele hoi ko no ho mihi ana apa ia o e kulama ko nani ko nani ko.
Hello, and welcome to Swell Season Surf Radio. I'm your co-host, Tyler Brewer, and I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Karen Song. Hi, Karen. How are you doing?
Hey, Tyler. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Great.
So, Karen, on this episode, we're covering the paddle out for Asian Solidarity that happened on March 27th, 2021 at Beach 69th Street in the Rockaways. Now, you and I were there to cover the paddle out to honor those lost in the horrific killings in Atlanta, Georgia. And this paddle out was organized by Benny's Surf Club. And it was an incredible day, like really beautiful. And it's just amazing to see the amount of support that came out for the AAPI community. What did it mean to you to see all of these people come out for this?
Well, first, I want to give a big shout out to Momo and Benny's Club for organizing this, as well as Kat, who does a lot of work with Laru Beya. Really wonderful, timing and vision to create this kind of opportunity and way to transform a lot of the grief and fear and all the emotions that came up around the Atlanta shooting. I mean, we were there to mourn and to pay tribute to the people whose lives were lost, but also it provided us an opportunity to kind of transform this really awful moment and have a reckoning with like all the things that we've all experienced. And kind of, I think with the AAPI community, Asian American Pacific Islander community, a lot doesn't come to the surface. I think a lot of people don't, or the community just hasn't given, ourselves permission to acknowledge the racism that we experience on a day-to-day basis, and just to kind of like take it as like, well, that's just the way it is, and that is not okay. And being able to come together like this and make ourselves visible and connect with each other and to see our support and feel that support and to have that space to express all of this and to see it was immeasurable, really, especially in our surf community and at the altar of our original mother, our ocean. There's nothing like it, really, to be able to kind of come to terms and celebrate our community, as well as acknowledge all these kind of hardships in this beautiful setting. It's so nurturing and I don't know. I can only imagine positive things will come out of this. I mean, I think already just speaking to people on a personal level, some of our allies already saying, hey, I'm already thinking of what I could do at my job to, implement more visibility, Asian American visibility. Or, for example, online, this illustrator, beautiful children's book illustrator. I think her name's Ruth Chan. Check her out. Oh Truth. And she has, I guess, been creating these illustrations, these stories since, since the Atlanta shootings. But she posted one about the paddle out, and it's such a beautiful articulation of what we all felt and how.
I'm looking at it, and it just perfectly captures the whole moment. It's really it's sad and frustrating though to see all this all of it really going on, really heightened.
Mm-hmm.
In particularly, like, just I've been watching the media, and just you see all these attacks on, elderly people
Yeah.
who are innocent. Is just, they're
So
just.
cowardly and just disgusting. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people are also, it's resonating for a lot of people. It's like, are you kidding me? That is just so cowardly. And that's, that's like my mother, my grandmother. I think people can really connect with that.
But that's, and that's just one bit of it. I mean,
Right.
there's just the everyday stuff that
Mm-hmm.
this community has to deal with.
Right.
And in surfing, I think I imagine there are, there's hostilities in some lineups,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in parts of New York, I imagine, and around here.
Right.
So I think it was really important to see the whole community come out. I mean, there was hundreds of people there,
Mm-hmm.
at least 100 in the actual paddle out, and then there was another 100 on the beach, I think. Um, to see everyone kind of come together and just say this is not okay, and
Right.
and honor those who've fallen. With the with the paddle out, you had an incident leading up to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel comfortable talking about this?
And this is weird, but I don't feel comfortable talking about the specifics because
Yeah.
there is that fear. So after something like that happens, you just have these, you know, paranoid, I just think, oh my God, what if he finds me and then finds my parents? Like, it has some it is irrational, but I also feel like, oh, I'm a New Yorker, so born and raised, and I'm like, oh, I just don't want to, you just don't know. There are a lot of crazies out there. You just don't know. So I'd rather not give specifics. But yeah, I did actually within the week. And the Atlanta shootings were already very triggering, and I had a lot of emotions. And then when this incident happened, I literally, when the guy told me to, go back to your own fucking country after, other exchanges that were very aggressive, I just was like, here we are. This is I was just like, here we go. And he was like, yeah, this is it. Yeah. I mean, it was just like, part of me was kind of laughing, but also, laughing inside because it's so ridiculous, right? You're just like, are you fucking kidding me? You just can't believe it. But at the same time, I was so aware of his kind of blind rage. Like, I just remember his eyes. They were just completely empty. You know what I mean? Like, they're, and when someone lodges these kind of feelings at you, and it's hard to understand because you don't know where they're coming from in terms of that kind of hate. So I was very, like, hyper aware. It's like one of those moments where you're aware of every single thing. Like, I could, if someone dropped a pin, I could hear it. It was just so, you're so hyper aware because I was ready to fight. Like, I was like, and he was a big guy, and I thought, okay, but I was okay to take him on. I felt comfortable, you know. But of course, I'm
Yeah.
glad it didn't go there
I'm
because,
glad it didn't either, for his sake.
well, I don't, I just think about, like, okay, it's a no-win situation. I think about if he were to have, if, let's say,
Hmm.
hypothetically, I did kick his ass. Hypothetically, right? What does that mean for the next three Asian person he might encounter on the street? Like, it's just like this karmic wheel that doesn't, but at the same time, if something were to happen, I need to defend myself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just that was the challenge after, because you always feel like I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but I also know that, like, even to the extent in which I pushed back and fought back verbally, it made me nervous after. And I feel
Yeah.
like if I hadn't, I would have been so angry that you know the script. Even you're helping me with the script after. You're like, this is what I would have said. But yeah, I think it's difficult because it feels like there's no win in this. And the win that I felt I did have was at the paddle out. That was really beautiful and
I'm,
connecting and
I
hearing other
imagine
people's
this must
points.
have been really special then, this day for you, like really healing,
Yeah,
maybe.
very healing
Or,
because I feel like I've never been in a space where I was able to kind of talk about these things with my fellow, AAPI community, and to really acknowledge that this does happen. And um, I think there's something, I've often felt incredibly invisible in all the spaces that I love, whether it's in surf community or in queer spaces or in film, which is my first love. Um, and it's so crazy. I can't begin to tell you how crazy it feels to be completely invisible in the world that you live in. It's really crazy. And luckily I've been able to kind of like source. Like for example, I cannot begin to tell you the first movie that I saw that was like all Asian folks, like, just being people, not background, wallpaper or whatever. It was like in the early 90s. And I'd seen other movies, but this is the one that I went to a movie theater and it was like an action movie and it was like, all the kind of uh, archetypes, and it was a Jet Li movie. And it was
yeah.
so much fun. And I remember walking out of the theater being like, holy shit, this is insane. Like there's something that shifts,
Mhm.
and but it also made me sad that I had to watch a movie in Asia. Like we don't see anybody that lives in America that has my experience here. It's a
Yeah.
very different experience. And so um yeah, it was really special and very healing to be at in the ocean on that beautiful
Yeah.
sparkling. I feel like everything that we do at the beach ends up being this like beautiful sparkling day, right? Like it literally was, it was glassy. It was
Yeah.
like tiny, tiny peelers. But
Yeah,
I just
waves
remember that, when that sun is just like it's just
glistening.
shimmering on the surface. It was beautiful. And I just remember when we were out in the paddle out, splashing the water and just seeing the all the dewdrops and then the petals of the flowers and all its different colors, and it was so beautiful, like the light just
And
throwing everywhere.
also, some of the speeches,
Oh my
and
god.
Jungwon, one of
Jungwon's
our
speech.
one of our
Yeah,
former guests, gave a really gorgeous, beautiful speech that was
unbelievable.
really powerful.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, Momo and Kat reached out to me and asked if I'd like to speak, and it was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that, but I was like, you should reach out definitely to Jungwon because she is so articulate and can connect the dots. And she really did that so that it was beyond just this one singular moment of the shooting. And she honored them in such a beautiful way as well. But also to kind of create this space where we all can participate in and connect personally, not just as API people, but also our allies and supporters, and then the beach itself. She's able to kind of connect it to history, connect it to just so much. It was, I mean, I hope we can play her speech also in
yeah,
its entirety here, along with the interviews, because I think everyone really brought, really nice insight into this moment and the lineage.
yeah. It's like it's sad that we have to do
Yeah.
this, but it's also really nice
Yeah.
that we do it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's important that we talk about it because it
yeah,
exists. It's really important that we talk about it.
absolutely. And it's something that I think as a white male, you don't notice sometimes, because
Hmm.
you're in your world and you got your blinders on and you're not always aware of everything else. And it's
I
sad
think
that,
also for us too, as the API
yeah,
people, I don't know if we necessarily, like I said, we kind of